Honey, it's a miracle. God created. From the small insect, he can create medicinal for human being. Imagine, scientists cannot invent what the bee can do. And we should look into that small insect, what's behind her. In the Bay Area, it's a paradise for bees because flower almost a year round, temperature is perfect, and bees will not starve like they starve in the countryside. I started as a hobbyist. I become just a full-time beekeeper and selling honey in farmers market, and mainly we sell our products, beeswax, honey, honeycomb, bee equipment. Slowly, but I'm dependent on my own bees to make a living. I'm down now to like about 100 hives, and each hive it has between 50 to 60,000 bees, and you multiply that by 100, that's a lot of bees, millions of bees, and they all work hard, and they don't ask me for any salary. You open a beehive, you find 60,000 workers. All those workers are ready to work. They go out and with energy, they fly like an airplane, they pollinate back and forth until you start seeing the hive in the springtime. You go close to the hive, you smell the nectar, like, wow, nice aroma, like perfume. You open the hive, you start eating the honey, it's amazing, it's a miracle. And the hive, if it's healthy, it will generate between 60 to 80 pounds of honey easy. So all these cells have to be open in order to get the honey out. If you don't do this, the honey, if you spin the frame without uncapping it, no way the honey is going to come out. It's kind of like sealed. Then when I am finished with 2 frames, I put them inside the extractor. I start spinning. I start running the extractor, and it goes circle, and all the honey will come down to the bottom. United States has over 300 varieties of honey. I can name some of them. Let's see, this for example is a wildflower local that we collect from our own bees within the Bay Area. You got buckwheat, you got manzanita, you got clover, you got mesquite honey, you got fireweed honey from Alaska. You name so many things. Tupelo honey from Mississippi. You know, it's amazing. It's all different colors and all taste kind of unique. This is a variety of honey comes from Yemen. You see, it's 1 pound. It costs about $85. People will collect it from the desert of Yemen. It's a tree. It will produce only thorns. They call it acacia, as a cedar tree. Thorns and flower. There is like a bee pollen. It has 50 more protein than the beef has. Some people will not eat meat, but why not bee pollen? You can eat bee pollen, replacing the meat, and you will get all the protein you want and no cholesterol. This is one thing. And also honey, when you buy it in a shelf, if it's been overheated, you kill the good stuff, you kill the good enzymes. You didn't need to buy syrup, you need to buy raw local honey. It will benefit your immune system and your body. And some people are naive. They think by taking the honey out of the hive, they're harming the bees because the bees are going to starve. No, it's the other way around. If you don't harvest the honey and they got plenty, they're going to get overcrowded. First thing they do, they swarm. I tell people not to be afraid of bees. If you leave them alone, they leave you alone. And sometimes people call me, "Yeah, we have a bee problem." I tell them, is the tree, what kind of tree do you have? Is it in full bloom? Don't worry, those bees are coming for the nectar. They benefit your tree. And soon the flower is over, they're all gonna leave you alone. They're not coming to attack you. But I would suggest to call somebody who will take them alive, not to spray them. Yeah. Maybe you think about having them in your backyard and not to be afraid. And I convince a lot of people to start beekeeping, not to be afraid of it. Better than a human being, if you rob somebody's house, they'll shoot you. Honeybees, they don't mind. I'll tell you about one story. One time I found two ladies, they called me for a job to take a bumblebee out of their dryer. They were just watching me from a distance. I said, don't be afraid. I took them alive, the bumblebee nest. I showed it to them. They were kind of concerned. Then, and I looked in their backyard. I said, you have an amazing backyard. Why don't you have a beehive here? They looked at each other and they started laughing. They thought I'm crazy. And believe it or not, a week later, they called me. And they said, guess what? I said, what? They said, we decided to go for a beehive. And then they bought the beehive from me and they started raising bees. And believe it or not, a year later, one of those two women become a president of a bee club. From being afraid to a president of a bee club, that's a big thing. Bees are declining, is just like everything else, you know. Earth is not what it used to be. If bees disappear, we disappear. Because fruit and vegetables will not grow without pollination. Bees are the main insect behind pollination and on a large scale. They go like 5 miles radio, like a circle. And then they benefit everybody. So otherwise, who's gonna pollinate that male and female flower except the bee? Every day I learn something new. People tell me, how long you've been dealing with bees? I say I was 5 years old when I started hanging with my dad. Oh, you know a lot. I say, no, I didn't think so. I always learn something new when I work with bees. I'm still a student. I say, you know, one day I'm gonna die, somebody has to carry. So somebody helped me before, why don't I help other people? That's how we do. That's how bees do in this life, you know. We should learn from them, not just to take, to give back to.